Home service companies, are you mystified by your marketing performance? In today's episode of The Marketing Mechanic, we're going to break down traffic and conversion to be able to figure out what's actually working in your marketing. You don't have to be a tech genius, PPC wizard, SEO data math guy. I'm going to show you how to look at your data to figure out what's working and what isn't working. I'm Dennis Yu. I've spent $1 billion on Google and Facebook ads. I'm a former Yahoo search engine engineer. And in today's Marketing Mechanic, we're going to look at traffic and conversion. So I want you to think about this simple formula. Traffic is getting people to your site or making a phone call. And conversion is when that phone call or that form fill turns into revenue that's in your Jobber, your Service Titan, wherever you're recording the revenue. And everything that happens in marketing, you can trace back to the source of traffic and to that conversion. Now, most of you should have a weekly marketing report. And what that will do is show you what the source of that marketing is. So it could be referral, it could be your Google AdWords, it could be LSA, it could be your Facebook ads, it could be your yard signs. Maybe you have, billboards, depending on how, you're doing stuff. And there'll be a certain number, right? Maybe there's like 15, 10, however many there are, all the way down. And you'll see of these calls, how many of them turned into actual customers. And then what was that job worth? Was it worth $400? Was it worth however much it is? So then when you have this, you should have a grand total of how much revenue you had for the week. So let's say it's, $18,000, right? And you had these leads that came in through these different sources. And when you think about the source of this traffic to these calls, you can then trace it back to where that came from. And traffic actually breaks down into two separate components. You have impressions, which is when people see it, which is not as trackable as we would like, and you have clicks. And this is where things get messed up when people do social media or content marketing or whatnot, is that they look at how many impressions there are, say on Facebook, or they post a bunch of stuff on YouTube, or they hired a social media expert to do all this stuff on Instagram and whatnot. Or let's just say even SEO, right? Your SEO expert or whatever delivers a report saying, hey, you rank on all these particular keywords. Like there's even something even before impressions, which is keywords, right? If you rank on these keywords, enough people see it, enough of those people click on it, that eventually turns into calls, that eventually turns into revenue, right? But you've got to be able to track everything from the revenue in the field service management system all the way back to where it came from. And this is where all of the weirdness happens when we look at these SEO experts that export all these reports and tools that make it look like you're winning because you win on more keywords. This is one thing that you should look at. We see this all the time. And this takes literally 10 seconds to look at anyone's website. We don't even need access. We can literally just use any kind of tool, Ahrefs, SEMrush, whatever your favorite tool is. And we'll see of the keywords that are here, first off, how many keywords are there? Some sites like Anthony's Lawn Care and Landscaping, we might rank on 6,000, 7,000. Let's just say there's 6,000 keywords. But of those keywords, it could be like identifying different kinds of trees in Indiana. That's interesting because people might want to know something about these trees, but they might not be signing up for tree service or stump grinding or lawn care or whatnot. So these keywords are separated out into different kinds of intent. So there's informational intent. So, people could ask, what does a roof cost? Or what is how much does a new HVAC unit cost to repair versus replace? Which eventually leads to commercial intent. Commercial intent is emergency plumber, near me, right? That's clearly something that you would pay for on Google PPC, but you could rank for organically. And then this kind of commercial intent breaks down into branded and non-branded. So branded is when they search for Anthony's Lawn Care and Landscaping. They search for EcoCare Pest Control because they're a repeat customer, because they've seen your other ads, because they know about who you are, because you have mailers, because of whatever. They're searching on your name. But when there are non-branded commercial terms, those are the ones that you really can attribute credit to on an organic or a paid basis. So these that are non-branded that then turn into clicks, if we have our tracking set up, what we call digital plumbing, that goes across this, we're able to associate that particular piece of traffic all the way through because we're using a UTM parameter, because we have the pixel that's set inside Meta or LinkedIn or Facebook or whatnot, be able to track this all the way through so that when you look inside the Jobber or Service Titan or Google Analytics or however you want to track it, we can see the source of the keyword, we can see if it was paid or not, we can see the particular Facebook ad, we can see if you boosted a post on YouTube or whatever it might be. And then this allows us to assign what the relative ROI is of each of these particular channels. And the majority of the time, there's no accountability for marketing. I think it's famously John Wanamaker said, I know 50% of my marketing is wasted. I just don't know which 50%. And so if you are throwing stuff into a black box and you're doing all these random things, you're using these different AI tools, there's a social media agency, there's an SEO person, all these folks that are doing different things. And then this area is all kind of a black box. And you really don't know what's happening in this area here. And that's where people get into trouble. So what I would like for you to be able to do is every week you should have a report that shows you, here's how much revenue I have, or here's how many calls I have, and this is how it traces back to each of these different sources. If we know how much money we spent on these particular sources, we can calculate an ROI. This is the thing that almost no one seems to do. I can tell you, for example, that if you are a plumber in Easton, Pennsylvania, and we're running local service ads, we should probably be getting under $100 cost per call. And then if it's $100 cost per call, 40% of those estimates and visits turns into customers, then the average cost of a real customer might be $210 or something like that. And then of that turns into $1,600, $1,800 of revenue, whatever the math is. That's how you calculate the ROI. So let's say that with Google Ads, we're at $100. LSA, we're at $80. Facebook ads, maybe it's $180. SEO still has a cost, right? Or billboards or postcards. You can calculate the ROI on each of these channels by knowing what the cost per lead is and then assuming a basic level of conversion all the way to revenue. And this is not an exact science because people can be, there can be stacking. So people can see, like with Anthony's Lawn Care, your YouTube. Year after year, they see hi, I'm Anthony. Oh, Anthony here, right? Hey, we have a special this fall. It's 20% off. If you you buy the annual contract or do this stuff in the winter, or if you're a repeat customer, when you've established a brand, so there's more brand power. And then eventually they come in on, so maybe they've seen you've built some presence because of sponsoring the Little League team, you boosted a few posts here and there, and then eventually that can spill over into another touch when they do a search and they see 4 or 5 plumbers and they pick you because they've seen your brand, they've seen that you've built a community. And this is why this is not an exact science, but you can generally see from here what the last thing is that somebody did. So the last touch, which can often screw people up when they're doing analysis. So the last thing they did was they probably searched your name, Anthony's Tree Service. Okay, But if they searched Anthony's Tree Service, where did that come from? A brand search term actually comes from something else. It actually comes from a referral or something upstream. So when we do ROI on SEO, and if any of you guys out there that do SEO for a living or whatnot, you're not going to like this. And the same thing that people who do Google Ads, that you're not going to like what I'm going to say, but you also know you can't argue with this, and that's this. What people do in the world of SEO is they take this total amount, all the traffic that comes, informational, branded, non-branded, and they attribute that full value, the total number of leads and calls, straight to that revenue. And then they'll say, ta-da, off of the Google Business Profile, off of people searching on your name in keyword search, we can say, we drove, 78 calls across a blend of organic and paid, and this was, however much in revenue, right? Let's say, we did $180,000 in revenue, I don't know, whatever the number is, right? You can't do that. Because first off, you have to subtract out all the branded. The branded that comes from the organic side, so that doesn't count because that's because of your operations and referral and word of mouth. Someone typing in the name of your company into Google does not count. The SEO people will try to take, and probably the majority of the calls and whatever you're getting comes from that. Also from an SEO standpoint, which is also branded, if they're coming on your Google Business Profile, and your Google Business Profile, we can see how many calls there were, how many times you show up in maps and directions and whatnot. That doesn't count with SEO because you could not even have a website and people are looking at your Google Business Profile. Then on PPC, people that are searching on your brand, that doesn't count either because anyone searching on that, even if you're paying for additional coverage, that's navigation, not search. So the true ROI of your SEO is this number minus anything that's branded, whether it's branded on the paid side or branded organically. And then let's just say, for sake of simple math, 78 calls, $108,000, what is the math on that? I don't know, whatever it is. But let's say the ROI here was a 10x ROI, ROAS, return on ad spend. And then this is what we'll see all the time. These branded, the branded traffic is often 70 or 80%. So maybe it's minus 50. And now we're down to 28. Now the 28 is the 180. And if it's only 1/5 as good, instead of a 10x, now you're at a 2x. So every dollar you're putting in, you're only getting back $2. That's not a good ROI, right? We know in home services, you typically want to be up at a 10x ROAS, meaning you put in $1, you get back $10, right? You spend $1 on Google Ads or Facebook ads or whatever it is, you want to see $10 here inside the job or service Titan, wherever it is, right? And now that you know how to look at branded versus non-branded, whether it's paid or organic, the keywords where they're increasing the number of keywords that are ranking, but it's mostly informational. It doesn't increase non-brand keywords that you're ranking on. It's coming from your Google Business Profile and not the website, which is what other people will try to take credit for. Now you can diagnose what the true ROI is on each of these components. And when you understand this traffic game, this trick that people have with claiming, like digital agencies do this all the time because it's very easy. What you do is you just take credit for everything else that you didn't actually drive. Well, then you can see, like, what is the true ROI of my SEO? What's the true ROI of my PPC? Then you can look at the traffic, look at the stuff that actually came, for example, from the agency efforts versus the stuff you would have gotten otherwise, right? And so all of it is, here's my revenue. I'm trying to attribute it back to these different sources. Some of these sources are because of what you do, because of part of your operations and reputation and getting reviews and just doing a good job and being in the community for 20 years, whatever it might be. And then you can, and if whatever your marketing team is, if it's in-house marketing team, you have another agency, ask them to pull out the Google Business Profile and the brand terms on SEO, brand terms on PPC to calculate the true ROI. And this is assuming you're starting with looking at the number of calls or revenue, trace back to the marketing source of order, right? So that this is the thing, if this whole traffic report, which we want to see in that weekly report we recommend on Friday, is what allows you to make a diagnosis on what are the different changes you've got to make. Because, you know, when I'm adjusting Facebook ads or I'm adjusting Google ads, I'm adjusting where we're putting our effort in terms of tweaking landing pages or putting up new blog posts or putting new social organic posts out there, sending out emails to try to get more repeat customers. You can calculate the ROI on all those things. And I think once you see that, and if you're a young marketer, you're an agency owner, maybe you're one of our AI apprentices, you can confidently be able to now go back to that business owner, to these clients that you have, and maybe it's just your dad, right? Just one client, which is great. You don't have to deal with 10 clients. You just have one client. It's a lot easier to focus on. You can say, okay, well, here's stuff that you would have gotten otherwise. I mean, if we weren't involved doing any kind of marketing, you would have gotten this anyway. Here's stuff that incrementally we have done, and we can show that for the retainer fee that you're paying us, plus the ad spend or the effort that we're putting into building more pages, incrementally, we are getting more traffic, and then this is a true ROI. That's pretty cool, isn't it? So that's looking at it from the side of the home service company holding the marketing folks, whether it's in-house or an agency or whatever, accountable. Now there's the other side, and that is holding you accountable, because once there's a phone call, you've then got to turn that into revenue. And there's this part here that, like, things fall down because there's a lot of finger pointing that happens here. So most agencies, marketing folks will say, you know what, we drive the traffic to the landing page or to the phone call, and from there, it's up to you. Right? We don't answer the phone. We're not doing the service calls. We're not doing the estimates. We're not able to, look at the close rate on what % turn into jobs and how it's priced, how it's quoted out. And then so the agency people will say, well, you guys don't answer the phone, which is often true. Like, you look at the LSA reports and see like what % of the phone calls are being answered. Like, okay, we drove 15 calls, but you only answered 11 of them, right? Well, that's 4 calls that are thrown away at $100 a call. That's not good. Plus, Google won't give you more calls if you don't answer those calls. So traffic breaks down into impressions and clicks. Conversions breaks down into calls and jobs, or patients, or revenue, right? And you could also say calls are proxies for clicks. Sometimes people fill out a form, sometimes they call, right? And so we're looking at a conversion rate. So if we spend on Google ads, $25 to get people to a website, and 1 in 4 of them picks up the phone, then we have a $100 cost per call, right? And then, assuming we answer the phone, we send someone out to provide an estimate, and half of those people turn into customers, then we can figure out what our cost per conversion is. Well, there's 2 conversions that have to happen. One is the conversion on the page. And this is the part like everyone messes up. So let's say we do a great job with Google ads and Facebook ads, do a great job with SEO, right? We're ranking on plumber near me in Easton, Pennsylvania, whatever it might be. And then we drive them to a page that's our home page. Well, that's not going to do as well. It's like if someone's looking for emergency plumbing, then you've got to send them to a very specific emergency plumbing page, right? Just on that. And if someone's looking for, a tree removal, right? Then you have to have a specific page on just that. You have to have specific pages on each of these keywords, on each of these things that you do, on each of these different cities. So we're in Bloomington today. There's lots of little neighborhoods within Bloomington, and if people are searching for that suburb name, we've got to send them to a page, that landing page that's very specific to that query. And you would think like, a tree trimming is the same no matter where it is, but you'd be surprised. Like if someone is searching on tree trimming city name and you don't have a landing page on that city name, they're going to think it's not as relevant. It's just this weird psychological thing. It's proven in the data. So A, it's got to be relevant. That affects page conversion rate. And then B, that landing page, which is probably guilty on your site, needs to contain all the trust to show a picture of, like, if it's Anthony, show, Anthony that he's there. If it's emergency tree repair or like emergency plumbing, you want to be able to show that you actually do that. And I think we even saw that on one of your pages where it said, call now for a free estimate.
Yeah.
But then if the keyword was emergency something, then it should be call and we'll respond right away, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But those things, like often these pages are all kind of the same. So we want to prioritize our efforts on what landing pages get the most traffic. So some cities are more important than other cities, so prioritize on those landing pages. Some services are more valuable or searched more frequently than others, so you might have 200 different location service pages, but the ones, the top 4 or 5, it's like an 80-20 rule, are the ones that carry the most weight. And then each of these particular pages that are the most important, these money pages, the small hinges, swing big doors kind of thing, then are you putting all the elements of trust and proof to show, like Anthony's the guy for lawn care in Bloomington? Then show tons of proof of that. Don't show all the stock art of the mom in front of the house, right? Show lots and lots of examples, because if we're spending $30 a click to bring people to this thing here and someone's typing in landscaper Bloomington, then it better dang well say, hey, we're a Bloomington landscaping company, and we're the best of B-Town. We've won this award many years in a row, and here's examples of other people we know in Bloomington, and all this, like tons and tons and tons and tons of trust. And then if we know that, let's just say simple math, we're paying $20 a click, and we're getting a 20% conversion rate, meaning 1/5 of the people paying $20, 1/5 of the people will call the phone number or fill out the form. Now what's our cost per lead? It's $100, right? But if we increase the conversion rate, because we add all the trust, we show pictures, we show videos, we show all these other things, like these guys clearly are awesome, and then we have the proof because they've seen the yard signs, there's referrals, they've seen, they've seen us around, their neighbor has an Anthony's Lawn Care sign in it. Maybe we increase that to 30%. And now all of a sudden, our cost per lead goes down to $80 or so, right? Or maybe this is unreasonable, but maybe we go to 40%. Now it's, whatever the number is, $60, right? And so the math that we typically see in paid search or paid social is, well, I'm getting these clicks for cheap. I'm getting, this stuff for cheap here. Or SEO is the same thing. I'm ranking on more and more of these keywords. Yeah, but it's not resulting in revenue down here. Why? Because you have constipation here where the landing page doesn't convert. So because people have very specific intent. And this is even like, I should have put this here too, like ChatGPT is a source. People ask ChatGPT a question. Who's the best landscaper in Bloomington? I think I asked, and it said, oh, it's Anthony's Lawn Care and Landscaping, right? Like, oh, okay. Well, great. So then ChatGPT sends people to a particular landing page. I consider this a subset of SEO. It's like organic reputation, it's all the same thing as far as I'm concerned, right? Who you are, your reviews, all that, right? So if we have tons and tons of proof that we have assembled for you, and it could be stuff that lives on other pages to be able to make each of these pages stronger, and that increases our conversion rate, what's easier? Trying to get the cost per click down from $20 to $10 or doubling the conversion rate? Well, this is unreasonable, 20%. Like most conversion rates are a lot lower than that, right? It's a lot easier to improve the conversion rate than it is to decrease the cost per click or decrease the cost of traffic, which keeps going up. So I see tons of home service businesses, they'll come to me and they'll say, hey, audit our PPC, and we'll take a look. I'm like, well, we could restructure the campaigns. Maybe some of these keywords are not as specific. Maybe the ads are not as relevant, so your quality scores are down, which is causing your cost per click to go up and whatnot. But while there's optimization that can happen here, in the last 10 years, I've done PPC for 25 years. In the last 10 years, the system has gotten so smart in the optimization that you could even have a crap, here I'll use green because Anthony's here. You could even, think of this as like the machine that you are, it's like a Keurig machine or whatever it is, right? You're putting in your keywords, you're putting in your ad copy, you're putting in the URLs or the phone numbers to call. This system is getting so smart, you could even suck and it will still kind of figure it out for you, which is wild. Like LSA is fantastic, right? Local service ads, the system does it for you. And if your local service ads are performing or not performing, like some guys will come to us and say, hey, our LSA is not performing as well. Can you fix it? I mean, maybe some things with your service area categorizations or, information filling out your Google business profile, but it's largely determined based on your reviews and the ads that are assembled automatically by Google. So it's increasingly, this whole thing is being automatically done by Google and Facebook. All the stuff with Advantage Plus, where they're adjusting the budget and, campaign budget optimization versus ad set budgets. Like all of those things are making it so that really what matters is the ingredients that you put into here, which is what your customers say, content that you create, everything they show a signal, which is like the organic, everything we talked about in episode 1 and 2 of the marketing mechanic. So if you have these real signals of customers that love you and you distribute it to these other channels, and then you put money into LSA, it's the same thing as putting money into boosting or boosting on Google or boosting on TikTok or Insta. It's the same thing because increasingly this system you can't touch. It's like when there was all manual cars and then it started to switch to automatic transmission. Mm-hmm. Like with the Tesla, I have a Model X, I can't force the shifting. I mean, maybe you can, but I don't think you can, right? You can't do that anymore, right? And that's what's happening here. So this is kind of the death of marketing agencies because marketing agencies were used to messing around inside here and claiming how complicated this was. But now that the system's like, can't touch, like Facebook took away all the detail targeting. Mm. Google doesn't allow us to do things that are like demographically targeted anymore because of all these like legal rules on discrimination and that whole kind of thing. So really all you have are the raw ingredients you put in the machine, and then what you do have control over is what happens here. So this, if you're an agency, by the way, and you're watching this, because agencies love watching this, for some reason, it's always in building out these landing pages. And it's not like, oh, we're using Elementor, we're hosting on WP Engine, we're using this particular tool, we have some secret technique. No, it's, do we have a folder of all these amazing ingredients showing the proof that our trucks are going around everywhere doing a good job and making Mrs. Smith happy? If these ingredients are here, we can repurpose them into the ads, and which are being auto-created, and then into these specific locations and services. So if we have all the stuff in Nashville, for example, we're doing business in Nashville, I'm going to grab all the Nashville jobs that we're doing. I'm going to build up the brand of Joseph, who is your manager basically in Nashville, right? Because then when Joseph is the guy who comes out, or they click on the page with Joseph and they talk to Joseph and all the other people that are customer facing, you create this local celebrity effect. And the local celebrity effect, so let's say we take all the real signals and we pimp out each of these particular pages. By the way, that has nothing to do, like most people who build websites, they don't realize, because the client doesn't know, it's not like, oh, we're building this $15,000 website. No, the bulk of the work is in the gathering and processing and even coming out and filming these particular components so they can live on the website. So it can live in your social media, it can live in these other places. If you have that stuff taken care of, guess how much it should cost to build a website?
Not much.
$600. That's pissed off so many people. I made a post on Facebook a couple months ago. I think you clicked like on it. And I said, one of these guys paid 20 grand to somebody that we know, I won't mention his name, right? 20 grand to build a website. And I looked at it and I'm like, this is just some template. And then every one of these pages looked the same, right? I said, what did you get for your, well, but it's like, there's all this fancy stuff and you don't want to have a $600 website built by people in this country, right? Like, dude, it's nothing to do with what country they're in. It's everything to do with, like, do you have the ingredients? Are these ingredients processed and whatnot? So it actually will convince someone who, grandma in Bloomington then show other grandmas in Bloomington, right? Like whatever, like be very specific. Stump grinding, okay, here's a page on stump grinding. I have a lot of examples of stump grinding, right? It's not a technical issue. And here they come to me thinking it's some like technical issue. Oh, Dennis will do this like detailed technical audit. No, it's not. Do you have the proof of what you do in the different cities that you do, which are location service pages that you put here? And that's what increases the conversion rate. So if you convert better, not because somebody built a fancy website, but because you took the raw ingredients, which you can pull out of your Google business profile. If your crews are using Jobber or ServiceTitan and they're taking pictures of the jobs along the way and all that, that's all raw material that's locked up that can be put into here. When this increases the conversion rate here, your cost per click goes down proportionately. And you get this doubling factor. My friend wrote a whole book on this called Quality Score. Craig Danieloff wrote a book on this. I'm also in it. Where when Google and Facebook sees that there's more engagement here because it's relevant to what they search for or what they're looking for, whether it's search or social, they increase the conversion quality score. And so when your quality score, which is 1 to 10, when you can double your quality score, like on Google Ads, go into your Google Ads, go to the keyword level, click on the columns that are showing there, and you can then expose the quality score metrics. If Google says if your quality scores by keyword are not at least a 7, that means you've messed things up. Most guys, you go in there and they're like 1 or 2. Google used to stop running ads where the quality score was a 1 or 2. Now they're like, you know what? Your quality score is 1 or 2? Sure. Your cost per click's 10 times higher. But sure, we'll let them spend the money. Why not, right? It's like driving with the e-brake on, right? I published an audit actually of, I won't say the name of the company, but we looked in there. No one's touched the campaigns. All the quality scores are 1 and 2. And they're bleeding. They're blaming Google. Oh, the cost of competition. Well, no, actually the quality scores are low. They didn't even know how to find the quality scores. They didn't even know how to go because they outsourced it. Most agencies outsourced their PPC and website building to someone else. They don't realize that. It's called white labeling, right? It's crazy. But so you have a compound effect. You increase your conversion rate because you actually show the user something relevant to what they're looking for. And because that signal is stronger, you get a higher quality score. So your bid times your quality score equals your ad rank. That is mathematically true on Meta, on Google and whatnot. And so that will cause your cost per click to decrease. So maybe it goes from like $20 to like $18, whatever it is. Then you have an increase in your conversion rate here, and then that turns into a call. So the thing that affects the cost per call is rarely in the ad setup. It's everything to do with the landing page and the signal on the landing page, which then shows up as the quality score, or Facebook calls it a relevance score, but it's the same thing. So whether it's Facebook or Google on the paid side, you can if you have access to your accounts, and you should, if an agency's holding you hostage, like get out, because you need to have ownership. Because if you decide you want to take it over, you want to be able to own all the data. Like all the custom audiences are tied back to the ad account, right? And if they say like, no, that's our account and it's proprietary, and if you leave, you can start your own thing, but the ad account is ours because it's like we have all of our clients on the one thing, so we can't give you access. Like all these excuses, right? They should just hand it over. That's what happened. Like hand over the website, hand over the ad accounts. But if all this data and all the quality scores or whatnot you don't have control over that, you're driving with the e-brake on. And you should be able to log into any one of your accounts and see the quality score and relevance score. You should be able to log in and see the account history. So this is one that gets the like 95% of the time. Because you're like, oh, I don't know, this is like really complicated. I don't know anything about Google Ads. I'm just a tree guy, and I just like trust these other guys because it's like so complicated. I just want to do tree stuff. Like, okay, I get it. But get access to your Google Ads account, or have one of us come in and show you how. Get access to the account, go to the account history, and then you can see the change history. Meaning you can see each time someone has logged in and made a change to the Facebook ads or made a change to the Google Ads. And guess what % of the time when we log in, the client logs in for the first time, because they've never had a chance to log in, they didn't even know, like you could ask, like, why would I ask to log in? Because I might like mess it up, right? Guess what % of the time someone's made a change in the last 90 days? The person you're trusting to run the PPC.
0.
Well, it's like 10%.
Yeah.
And if there's a change, it's going to be like a bid change or a keyword change, not a meaningful change like a landing page change or an ad change. There's no evidence of optimization. So if there's no optimization mainly on the landing page or in the ad copy showing relevance to the keyword, then the thing is just running without any supervision. It's crazy.
This is the beauty of starting from the ground up, though, because I didn't have any financial resources to hire anyone. So I just spent my spare time noodling around with Facebook ads and Google ads, and I figured out how to at least run a basic Google ad on my own. So I didn't get caught in this trap of some agency owning my Google AdWords account, because it was AdWords at the time. So that was great because I still own my Google accounts. Like, it's not in
You
jail.
were lucky and smart.
It's not in jail with some, but I mean, but that's the beauty of starting from the ground up.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Come over here a
okay
little
to
more,
start with,
Yeah.
it's okay to start with other resources. Even, you're doing 50K a year in sales or 100K. It forces you to innovate and figure out things on your own too. And then when you do hire the agency like Dennis to help you scale from 500,000 or 1 million to 5 million and 10 million, you already own all your accounts. And then also having someone like you help, this and you're fair and you want people to own their accounts.
We want people to log in and see what's going on. We want them to see a weekly report every Friday showing what we've done, showing what the stats are. Like we've been saying, like the first thing I said to you was, can you show me where the leads are coming from? And then we can trace that back to the different sources with a little more detail than just like mail or yard sign or PPC. I mean, okay, fine, SEO, but what was the key word?
Yeah.
How many times have they come to the website before they finally called versus the last touch, which is the last thing that they did? And that helps, it makes it fair for everyone to see what's going on. Okay, so we talked about how there's different ways. Here, let me just grab this for you so you can talk too. I don't want to do all the talking. Here. So we're talking about how we optimize traffic and conversion and how there are different components within traffic and conversion. And how the most important part of paid traffic is actually the landing page. Because you could spend all this money on the clicks, and if it doesn't convert, it doesn't really matter what you do with the keyword selection and the ad copy and bidding and campaign structures and those kinds of things, right? So let's say we're driving it to the call. Let's say everything is done properly up until this point. Then what?
Yeah.
Well, you have to answer the call. And so when you look inside, let's say it's a call rail or whatnot, what % of the time is a missed call? And then listen in on some of the calls. And you might think your answering service or your front office is, maybe you have a call center if you're bigger, you might think they're doing a great job because they'll say they're doing a great job. But it's crazy when you actually come in and you listen to the calls and you see like, oh, hey, what's up? Like, you don't answer the phone like, what's up? Hey, Anthony's Lawn Care, how can I help you today? You have like, what is the thing to be able to represent on brand, to show that you're happy, to show that you care? Like, when you call into some service, like, Bill's Plumbing, what can I do for you? Like, right? I mean, you can smile over the phone. They can't see you, but they can hear your smile and your voice, right? So you have to answer the phone, and then you got to send someone out to get an estimate, and then you have to close them, right? And so if we're driving all these calls, and let's say all this stuff is done well on the digital side, but if there's some leakage here, or it's ridiculous, like with LSA, how often they don't answer the phone. And often it could be like after hours, because if you declare you're 24/7 but you're not, or you have an answering service, like an automated system, Google doesn't like that, so they'll stop sending you calls. So you actually need to say what your hours are in your Google business profile that you actually can answer the phone. And we recommend 24/7. Usually there's enough ROI to justify having there's third-party services that can answer the phone, which like the digital agencies, they don't even want to get into that's operational. They just want to do like PPC and like whatever it is, right? But if you're a digital marketer, you're one of the young adults that's in our program, you already know we got to see it all the way through over here to the money. And if there's a drop along the way, because, okay, yeah, they're answering the phone, and they send a guy out to do an estimate, and they do the estimate properly, and a detailed quote, and they don't overcharge or undercharge, or they're not like some of these HVAC guys where they just always recommend a replacement every single time, no matter what. Like we were with Ardmore windows and doors 2 days ago, and they say, we started as a window repair company. We can actually repair because we, and all this stuff, they have a whole shop with all the materials and the woodworking and all these things which are hard to do, right? And so they actually know how to estimate because they're fair. Well, you have to have a proper quote that's detailed, and then the homeowner has to say, okay, yes, and then write the check, put a deposit down, then the crew comes out and does the remodeling, fixes the water heater, does the lawn, whatever it is, and that results in the revenue.
And then what's the client acquisition cost, right?
Yeah.
From there.
So at the end of the day, this could be, I was with what's his face he does $250 million a year as an HVAC company. What's his name? I interviewed him. I should remember his name. I'm getting old. But he said, this guy runs one of the largest HVAC companies. His average ticket is $34,000.
Okay.
And then he says that they always answer the phone right away, and they always send a technician out that same day. That's not like 2 weeks out, right? Because, and this is what he said in the interview. And 2 weeks later, they've already gone with another company, or they're like whatever. So sends a technician out right away, has the quote right then, collects the money, right?
Yeah.
And then he said 40% of these people, they're able to sell into a subscription. They're like warranty assurance program. There's all these different names that people have, like in pest control or in plumbing, where there's this monthly thing that you can pay, and now you can get 15% off, or they could send someone out every quarter to look at your lawn or whatever it might be, right? So 40% of these people, and he said this basically covers his marketing cost, because he's incentivizing his technicians to do this. And then this helps us because this lowers the cost of our marketing. So it's easy to blame the marketing agency, but then from an operational standpoint, are you selling them on the monthly subscription or whatever that is? Are you collecting the review, which then feeds back over here and helps our LSA and helps our Google ads? And this is the thing that it's like a couple that's fighting, right? The husband and wife, they're like in divorce court. Or I guess at that point it's too late. We're already at that point. But it's a couple and they're having a squabble about whatever, right? Honey, you shouldn't have spent the money on the car. We can't afford that yet. Whatever it is they're having a squabble about. Well, there's things that you have to do as the home service company. So then when your marketing company is doing all these things, so here's the bottom line. The marketing company is driving the traffic. Or your marketing team, whatever. Whoever's doing the marketing is messing around with all these different channels, and each of these channels has a specific set of tools, which we can cover, to drive traffic to this phone call, right? It's like this wall here is with the phone call. Okay, well, what happens after the phone call? Then that's on you. But if you don't do a good job here, then you blame the marketing company. And often there's a lot of fault with that plumber or HVAC company. There's a lot of fault with I won't name them, but some of these landscapers I see, they don't know how to quote the thing properly, or they show up kind of disheveled and not professional.
Or they have a 90% close rate, but they're not asking enough money, and their financial end's broken. So the more clients they book, the faster they're losing money.
Yeah.
That happens.
There is one guy, he has an HVAC company in Dallas, and we audited his stuff, and he is way undercharging. And Tommy Mello even looked at his stuff and said, bro, you're charging like $7,000 for an HVAC replacement job. That should be 14 or 16. Everyone else is charging 14 or 16,000. And this guy, won't say his name because he's a friend. He says, yeah, but those other guys are ripping everyone up. No, you include the cost of your marketing. You have to pay your technicians. You need insurance. All the Tommy's guys have brand new trucks and all,
Well, and it's the other thing in the warranty too. If anything wrong happens, the company needs to have the resources to make it right.
Yeah.
If you're only charging the $7,000, do you have the resources to, let's say there's 3 mistakes made. Does that company have the resources to fix those mistakes?
Yeah.
Or are they like, oh my gosh, going to lose way too much money now?
But he's like, yeah, well, if the cost of the unit is $5,000, then you should only charge like $1,000 to install it.
No way.
Because you just go to Home Depot and buy it and whatever. No, you can charge. This is what Tommy Mello's been preaching all day long, which is you can charge this amount because PEs come in and all, and that's it. it is okay to make a normal profit, because when you consider the true cost, when you add in the marketing costs, add in all of the other expenses of
The wear
doing
and tear,
it right.
the gas,
Yeah.
the insurance. Yeah.
Yeah, like he made a post on Facebook saying, hey, if you charge as much as the average home service company, you're going to be broke. Why? Because the average home service company is broke. It's not that you're trying to, it's like this mindset thing, like, oh no, I can't charge them $14,000. This guy is charging $34,000 on average. Now, I'm not saying, I mean, whatever, right?
It is a mindset shift,
yeah.
though. It's a self-limiting belief.
Yeah.
Maybe it comes from if the person selling it can't fathom having that kind of money, you have to get over that. I mean, I went through that when I had no resources. Oh my gosh, I can't charge $5,000 for this tree.
In order for it to
Yeah,
to see,
I can't charge $5,000 for this tree because I only had like $1,000 in my business account or whatever at the time. This is way back when, but I couldn't fathom someone having that kind of money, even though I knew that's how much it needed to be for us to have a profit. I was like concerned. Oh, nobody has that kind of money. Well, then I started, listening to Dan Kennedy, reading Dan Kennedy, and then, experimenting with different, like the price elasticity. This is what we're talking about, price elasticity.
And you want to hire the best guys, and the best guys are not going to be the cheapest guys working for $17 an hour.
Right. And then
if you really want you want the best people who represent your company well, what's the going rate? And what does Tommy say? He pays in the top 20% of whatever the wage is in that city. Yeah, and to get the best guys.
There's the other thing of like the really high-end clients, they get offended if you underbid.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we can't well, that bid is so low that they're concerned. They think they're going to show, you're going to show up to their house and steal something because your bid's so low. Yeah. So there's people that won't go with you because the bid is too low. Yeah. That happens.
Yeah. And you never want to be the cheapest guy in town anyway, right?
Right.
Because that's going to be the kind of customer that you don't want, who complains, who's just,
the most complaints are from your like $300 or low price jobs anyway. That's where the most difficult clients are that group. I remember my mind being blown when I figured that out about 8 or 9 years ago, thinking, what's going on?
Yeah.
But the $30,000 clients, like, oh, you just get to it when you can.
Yeah.
What? But the $300 clients, why aren't you here right now this second? It needs to be perfect.
The less they pay, the more they want.
Yeah.
It's crazy. In every industry, we see that.
Do you really?
Yeah, I mean, we see that. We coach a ton of digital agencies.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of agencies that are like, well, we're always really affordable, and we care about the small business, so they charge whatever $1,000 a month, and then they can't do a good job because they're like, okay, well, for $1,000 a month, I can only afford $300 in labor because of my overhead and marketing, and I have to make a small profit. What insurance, like all these things, you have to pay for all these software licenses and hosting and whatever. So I can only spend $300. Well, now I got to hire people from the Philippines or whatever.
Yeah.
And based on the amount of work we have to do, I can only pay $5 an hour, which is fine. There's a lot of people that work for $5 an hour, but then you're just like it's like McDonald's offering the 99-cent menu. Like, what can they put in it's not even 99 cents anymore, right? But what can they put inside a 99-cent hamburger? No,
I'm going to Chick-fil-A.
And at Chick-fil-A, we were in the airport 2 days ago. It was $9 for a chicken sandwich.
Yeah, but it's so much better.
Yeah, it was $33 for Alex and I to have a chicken sandwich and a shake each.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But I mean, there was so the Chick-fil-A, the line there was crazy. Right next to it was like a Wendy's, and there's no one there.
Yeah.
And their burgers are half the price. So, having quality people in uniform, quality trucks, doing a good job, having enough margin in case there's a mess up to be able to redo it, having enough profits so that you can run a healthy company and not be on the edge, and all of these things. Right? I don't want to go into the whole mindset thing, but usually when we audit a company and they come in for a marketing audit, we see that there are these other problems. So we'll respectfully say, you know what, we can find, this is what happens in a marketing audit, right? Okay, we found some problems here in the Facebook ads. We found some problems here with the SEO. We found a couple landing pages that are broken. They don't load properly. We found that, calls after hours aren't being answered. We found that you chose the wrong service area. It was too broad because it was an area you don't serve, so you're paying for calls that you don't want. I mean, there's like different things that we can point out, which we can fix, which is great. But this is why this whole marketing thing often doesn't work, is it requires a dance, a coordination between you as a home service business owner to fix different components over here in your operations. Like if we're, you know, driving phone calls, but then you can't take jobs for you're booked 2 weeks out, that's not good, right? That's wasting money. You got to answer, like, maybe not the next day, but like within a day or two, right? You got to get out there, answer the phone, all that stuff. So the combination of traffic and conversion is what you've got to be able to coordinate. So my hope is that if you haven't gotten an audit, to be able to see, based on your data, what actually has to happen, starting first with this weekly report. Do you not have a weekly report that shows where the calls are coming from? If you don't have that, then you're just flying in the dark with the blindfold on, right? If you don't have that, let's put that together. There's lots of software that you can tie, and you can set up digital plumbing to connect that. And then let's see, what are the particular things? Everyone has stuff that's broken, right? Like, don't be ashamed. It's like coming over to someone's house for dinner. Oh, quick, clean up everything because they don't want them to see like our house is dirty. There's kids' toys everywhere. But that's okay, right? Let's just fix this. Maybe, you know, you have someone on your team. Maybe you have a young adult. That's awesome. Let's just figure out what those specific things are to fix along the way. And there's going to be things on the operational side as well. So if you think that's valuable, book some time with one of us, and we will follow what we call the quick audit process, which goes through 6 different components. And it's like going to the doctor, and we're looking at the blood and the MRI and the X-ray, and it is what it is, right? There's no need to have shame over the numbers. It might be eye-opening. You might find certain things are working really well that we should really turn the knob on. Like Anthony has certain videos that, wow, we had these performers. This was like 3 years ago. Why don't we? That's a greatest hit. Why don't we reuse that instead of, you know, making more and more new things? There's always like nuggets that you can find, but there's always things that are broken where someone's not watching the Google ads or coming in and tuning the Facebook ads in the right way. So there's lots of things. I mean, that's the whole thing with like digital marketing, and it's always changing. Now people are searching in ChatGPT, all that kind of stuff. And so there's so much that we can do, but you want to be able to prioritize by where you're going to get the highest ROI, because you can't do everything. Every day you see some new marketing tip, some new tool. If it doesn't drive traffic, if it doesn't increase conversion, then why do it, right? So people ask me, Dennis, how do you keep up with all the things that are happening? Oh, how about this AI, and how about that, and this change to Google, and, you know, whatever Meta is doing the glasses now. How do you decide? Well, where does it impact my traffic or conversion? So, okay, great. This SEO expert's going to do these different things, and they're going to increase the number of keywords that I rank on. Okay, but are those going to increase my non-branded keywords that have commercial intent? Is whatever this new video tool, okay, this new like AI spokesperson or whatever it is, okay, put it on the landing pages. All right, does it actually increase my conversion? Oh, there's this cool tool that does this social media thing where it'll take your videos and put it out to Facebook and Instagram and whatever it is. Like, okay, can I prove that's actually generating more traffic, more clicks that result in more phone calls? Maybe it's getting me more views. I'll guarantee you 100,000 subscribers on whatever channel, right? Okay, but does that actually, like, maybe you make some like viral cat videos, but is that going to somehow drive more lawn jobs, more tree service jobs? Maybe. So it could drive traffic, but does that traffic turn into phone calls and into book jobs? And you don't have to be a technical engineer, SEO, search engine, whatever kind of person to determine that. So I'd love to hear, what do you guys think? If you found this to be valuable, hey, why don't you subscribe to the channel, right? Like, share, comment, get yourself an audit, and let's take a look at your data together. Your data.